There is a definite grip on you when you're working in wood engraving. You have to be somebody who's very patient, and it's also very unforgiving. It doesn't let you correct a mistake, and there's no room for spontaneity. So it's basically a one-way trip, and you just have to dive in. Well, by way of introduction, my name is Wesley Bates. I live in Clifford, Ontario. Here in Clifford, I have a gallery called Wesley Bates Gallery. I have a print shop called the West Meadow Press. I work primarily as a printmaker. I have letterpress gears and printing presses and type, and I print small editions of books. I'm very interested in working with poems without words and stories without words. The medium I work in is wood engraving, which is one of the smaller veins of printmaking, but it's all-encompassing for me. And I've lived here in Clifford for 21 years now. That little crunchy sound, it's just so familiar. So wood engraving turns out to be a medium that really likes to have lots of detail. There's an enormous amount of satisfaction in working with your hands, and I would say that I spend a lot of my time just by myself in doing this. The thing that needs to be remembered about wood engraving that it is high contrast, and when it's printed, it's either a black or a white mark. And the other thing about the marks is it's the white marks in a wood engraving that tells the story. So when you're engraving on the top surface of the block, every mark that's engraved is a light stroke or a white stroke. And the more you engrave, the more light you're adding to the image. The light is what expresses the subject to you. So for me, the wood engraving, by working with the light, by creating the light in an image, is more like the world is. And the world is more around us because of light. Wood engraving was developed in the late 1700s by a metal engraver by the name of Thomas Buick. And the tools that he used are still the same today. So what is that? 300 years later. And the thing is, engravings are characterized by the kinds of tools that you use and the marks that they make. So people see the same textures, similar line work that Mr. Buick did 300 years later. So they often say, well, it's an old medium. But the medium is what it is. It's the subject matter that is the important part. That's what makes it modern. It's not what the medium you're using is, it's the subject matter. When I worked on a book called The Roots to the Earth, it was a collection of Wendell Berry's poems. I used the landscapes from here for that, which was my first real in-depth study of here. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is place and what place means to people. I see lots of parallels between the life of an artist and the life of a farmer in that they're going to do it no matter what. Farming is a very, very creative process. It's a deeply embedded personal need and desire to do. It's just who you are. I grew up in small towns in Saskatchewan, so Clifford kind of has that same home-like feeling to me. I love the landscape here in that it's farming land with woodlots. There's a semi-wild aspect to the woodlots, and then the totally domesticated kind of landscape. And when you see the two together, it's kind of I feel that there's a real interesting synergy between it. The design of the landscape, if we can call it that the farmers practice on the land, contours to land that's arable. Doesn't matter where you go around here. If you look out, you're going to see some agricultural crops growing, and then you're going to see a woodlot. And then sometimes you can peek between woodlots and see more fields. So I think it's the combination of those two things, the arable and the semi-wild. But having a sense of the place is what I'm looking for. Since I've moved to Clifford, I'm spending more time outside painting in the landscape, and it's becoming very much ingrained in my way of wanting to see the world and paint. It's just a beautiful landscape. Well, people sometimes ask what makes you want to be an artist, what drives you to be creative, and it's not something you can turn off if you were born with that switch flipped. I think it's just that's how you go about being here, being alive, right? I can remember just from childhood being outside and noticing distances and noticing how the hills overlap from each other. You know, you see that people, they do this and they look at the world this way. Often I'm just framing things all the time. It's not important that something is a work of art. It's a personal way of connecting and communicating. And I think that applies to all categories of art, in that what you're putting forward is a fiction, is a construction of some sort, but through that you can point at the truth. It just turned out that I like this white line world where you're working with the light rather than, you are working with shadow too, but everything you add to a wood engraving is adding light. And you can get really goofy and get all spiritual and talk about it's light over darkness and all that kind of stuff. But no, it just seems to work for me that I can see how to make an image out of the dark and with the light. The craft and the skill that's involved in it is satisfying when you start to develop a comfort with it. And I think it's just my personality and wood engraving's personality kind of get together or are simpatico. It's just an odd thing. Not everybody gets it and not everybody enjoys it, but I do.